here we are. Okay, Brother Brooke, welcome to Unitarian Anabaptist.
Thank you, brother.
Okay, before we begin, I'll have to explain that your face is not going to appear on the screen. Most of the time, my guests show themselves, but in your particular case, you are speaking to me from Turkey, and you will explain to the audience why this is not possible to show yourself in the light of day at the moment. So perhaps that'll change in the future. But anyway, maybe you can begin by explaining who you are, where you live, and what the conditions are like there for a believer in Jesus as yourself.
Okay. First of all, my name is Berk. I live in Turkey. I'm 26 years old. In Turkey, you shouldn't tell anyone that you're a Christian. Of course, you can tell this in big cities, but for the most of the part, you shouldn't tell this because people will see you in a bad way. They will blame you for everything, and even seculars will persecute you. So I need to hide my identity
Okay.
for safety.
So this is quite interesting. So when you say that you will be blamed for everything,
Yes.
what kind of things would a Christian be blamed for in the nation of Turkey?
Let me tell you that for crusades, they will blame you if you're a Christian.
Oh,
They will blame you everything that Western country did in policy.
okay.
They see that you're one to blame. Not everyone, but in generally, you will see that if you're a Christian in Turkey.
Okay. Well, that's fascinating because the Crusades happened a long time ago. So the memory of the Crusades is still very much in the mindset of the people in Turkey.
It really is, I
Wow.
can say.
And so, can you describe what the proportion of secular Turks there are to Islamic Turks?
Sorry, I can't.
Okay, so the population of Turkey is mostly either secular or Muslim. So is that correct?
I can't say that, but we can say, I don't know, 70% Muslim, 30% secular, maybe. I can't give you numbers.
Okay.
Seculars you'll see online more, and Muslims, radical Muslims, you'll see them in real life more.
All right. So they could be as high as 70% Muslim. And in the Muslim population, there are a certain percentage, roughly, like what is the rough percentage of Muslims that are radical, very extreme in their views?
I can't give you numbers, but it depends on the city. It depends on where you live. If you live in a big city, no one can say anything to you. It is more, people are more free in big cities, but if you live in a small cities, like not so important, they're more religious and they will persecute you more.
Okay. All right. So you're 26 years old. How long have you been a believer in the Lord Jesus Christ?
I can tell 6 years or more.
Okay. At least 6 years. Um, and what were you before you became a Christian? Were you secular? Were you Muslim? What kind of state of mind were you in before you came to
Actually,
faith in Jesus?
actually, I born in a Muslim family, but I never chose this faith. It was not my choice. Because of that, I lost my faith at some point in high school, I guess, or mm, it was close to college time. I lost my faith. After losing my faith, I was in a big empty world. Like, say, I was secular, but I never convinced myself to atheism. To me, it was impossible. I tried to convince myself to atheism because it was a safe place. Everyone knows that, but it is so impossible to me. I really tried that in so many ways. I read books, I watch videos, but none of them make sense to me. I didn't want to become an atheist, so I was nothing.
Huh. Okay. So you were raised in a Muslim family, then and then at a certain period of time you stopped believing in the Islamic way of thought?
Yes, because I never chose it. It was not my choice. My family chose it for me, but they
Okay.
weren't that religious.
Okay. So Islam is a faith that you are born into,
Yes, it
which is
is.
different than Christianity. In most of the Christian world, someone has to choose to follow Jesus. And that was not your case
No,
in Islam.
no, there was only Islam. You can't even find a Christian book in Turkey. All the Christian books are telling you how Christianity is wrong. You'll see all the anti-arguments to Christianity in Turkey, but you won't find any book that defends the Christianity.
Okay.
Never.
So what are some of the most popular reasons why these what are the reasons that are being posed to turn away from Christianity?
What do you mean?
Well, you say the books that are about Christianity
Yes.
are trying to convince people not to follow Christianity.
Yes, because they don't want another religion. They don't want people to think there might be another religion that could be true.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did you come to the knowledge of Jesus? What was your experience?
It is a story I will tell. Um, I was in college. It was my first years. Mm, I was questioning a lot. I was so depressed, really depressed. I was searching for meaning. I wanted to believe there is a God, which is good, not bad. Because when I was a Muslim, I was thinking God as some kind of evil person. I was praying to God, but I knew that He is evil. I didn't like Him. So after I lost my faith, I was only thinking there is a creator, but I can't find Him. There is no way I can find Him.
Huh.
So at some point, I really lost my energy, everything. I mean, in my mind, I was questioning that why I'm living. There is a death. When I'm die, it will be over. It will be done.
Huh.
There will be anything. There is no meaning. Even if I work so hard in this life, there won't be any. It is meaningless after I'm dead. I didn't want this for me. So one day, I was trying to give up on life, but I was gonna try something. One day, in my house, I prayed to God like that. God, I don't know if you're real or not. I don't know if you exist or not. But if you're real and if you care about me, show me a sign that I can find you. If you show me a sign, I promise you I will serve you in all of my life. I promise. I really want to know you if you're there. I don't want to believe that people saying about you. They're nonsense. I prayed that. And when I'm praying, I was thinking there is no God, and there is no reason to live. Then I was waiting an answer. I looked to my my table. I was eating a meal, and in my house there is a two window, and there is a light shining. It was, I guess, lunchtime. There is light, and because of our window, there appeared a light. Be- Before I'm saying that, I want to warn your audience. It is not a miracle. It really is not a miracle. It's just a shape. I saw a cross shape on my table, but it was just a simple thing, not a big thing. It was shining. It was cross. I don't expect anyone to believe that. I wouldn't believe if I were you. So when I'm looking to that cross, I thought to myself, it is impossible, because all of my life, everyone told me there is one thing clear and certain, that Christianity is wrong. Bible has been changed. They believe in three gods. Their gods is evil. A lot of lies I heard. And I told myself, what would I lose if I look up to that? There is nothing to lose. I lost everything.
Okay.
Yeah. There is really nothing to lose. Then I decided to read some Bible verse at end of the day. I opened the Bible. Firstly, I opened Genesis 1. Actually, I was aiming to read the New Testament, not the Old Testament, but I opened that. I saw the Genesis 1, verse 3. It says, "And God said, let there be light, and there is light." I know that context doesn't say about something about me. It is not about me. I know that, but it came to me meaningful. After that, I realized that this is not the New Testament. I went to New Testament, and in the New Testament, I opened the Gospel of John by coincidence. And the verse 5, it says, I should check that because I read it in Turkish language. If you can give me a moment.
Sure.
Okay, it says, "And the light shines in the darkness, but the darkness did not overcome it." When I read this verse, this really affected me. By the way, again, I have to say, the context is not about me. The context is not about what I thought, but this brought me to the Bible. I was thinking, in all of my life, there is darkness. Everything is dark, everything is black, everything is bad. And this word, there is light, and light shines in the darkness. And I told myself, I should read this book. I should really read this book. Then that day, until the morning, I read the Gospel of John.
Wow.
When I just finished the Gospel of John, I was really emotional. I didn't know anything about Christianity. I didn't get a lot of things in the Bible, in that Gospel, but I told myself, I want to believe something good. This looks so good. I wish that it is true, because I know that people told me Bible has been changed. Bible is so evil. But I wanted, at that moment, I wanted that this has to be truth. I really want this to be truth. I don't know when I started to believe in Christianity, I started to believe in Christ, but after that time, I read the whole Bible as 66 books. Yeah. Then I can't explain, but I was Christian. I told myself, I don't care anyone, I don't care who says, I don't care how it is wrong, but I want to believe that it is truth, because the word has power. If there is something certain in this life, And that certain thing is this Bible has power, and even if people changed it, they change it very good, very well. That is
They
my
didn't change it enough to take away the power, if any changes
yes,
happened.
absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
I was so happy.
Well, this is an amazing story, amazing testimony. So, at at what point did you actually make contact with other Christians? Like, are you
Uh,
reading the entire Bible on your own without actually communicating with others that are people of faith?
yes, I didn't have any access at first, but on online I searched for a church in my city. There is one church. I went to the church and I asked them one thing. Who is the pastor? I asked. Who is pastor? And pastor came to me and I told him one thing. Pastor, baptize me.
Huh.
Yeah, I just said that. He said to me no.
Oh, you said no.
Yeah, he
Okay.
said no. He asked me, why do you want to be baptized? And I explained this story to him.
Huh.
And yeah, we started to Bible study together. They explained to me that how there is Trinity in the Bible, firstly, because
Oh,
I didn't understand the Trinity when I was reading it.
okay. Oh, you mean to say when you're reading the Bible, you saw no evidence of a Trinity in it?
No, I didn't saw any evidence. I saw some evidence for pre-existing. I saw some verse about saying that Jesus is God, but I saw nothing about Trinity. No
Okay.
verse explain that to me, because there is a lot of things in the Bible. In the New Testament, uh, they're talking about a lot of things like the Old Testament stuff in the Acts, but no one talks about the Trinity.
So was the pastor trying to give you a framework in order that your Christianity would line up to what they were practicing in their church?
Yes, he explained to me the Trinity is even in the Genesis 1.
Hmm.
Yeah. The
Okay.
first verse is Father, he said. The second verse is Holy Spirit. And the third verse, his word, it means Jesus, Son. He explained that to me like that.
Okay.
And I believed in him because he was the first Christian I ever met.
Okay. That's interesting. So did you have to agree with his perspective and make a declaration of this before you were baptized?
Uh, Before I baptized, I did declaration about a lot of things. How did Jesus die? He rose up after 3 days. He died for my sins. I believe all the things in the Bible. I declared that.
Okay.
Then they baptized me some months later, 6 months, I guess, or 8.
Okay. So if I can get this straight, you showed up at this church a year after you read the entire Bible and you wanted to find someplace to be baptized.
Month after.
Oh, did you say 1 month after?
Uh,
1 month
Sorry.
after you started reading the Bible, you showed up at this church?
Yes, that's the story.
Okay. How much of the Bible had you read at that point?
I don't remember.
Okay, but you hadn't finished the whole Bible when you
And
showed
not
up
the
at
Old Testament, but the New Testament.
so you had
I
you read completely the New Testament and some portion of the Old Testament you had read.
Yes, because I didn't understand what says the Old Testament at that point. All
Okay.
those Leviticus rules.
Okay. So you're baptized a half a year after you stepped in the church for the first time.
8 months later.
8 months later. Okay. Okay. And what happened? So you had to kind of agree to the pastor's faith perspectives, but you were still reading your Bible, you were still inquiring, you were still curious to dig deeper and to come closer to God and the message that God is bringing to mankind. So, where did your faith journey lead you after you were baptized?
Okay. Before I baptized, it begins. When I was in church, I was do a lot of research on Christianity, mostly for apology. Like there is a lot of arguments for Christianity, people using those against me. When I was when I became Christian, they throw me all the arguments against Christianity. How Bible is bad, how this verses doesn't make sense, how there is contradictions. I was seeing all those stuff, and I did deep research on the Bible. Let me tell you my daily life. I was waking up, I was doing research, I was going to school. After the school, I was reading the Bible until the late night. Sometimes I was waking up the late night and I was doing research. This took a lot of time, and after those research, I started to realize something, that the church is actually not like in the Bible, because there are no one were caring about the Old Testament in church.
Oh,
No one were caring about there are some crazy stuff they teach in church, like speaking in tongues. I never believed it. Never. They were, to me, they were lying on that. So there is a point. I did a debate with a Unitarian guy, 6 hours. Yes, and I told him that if your sayings are the true teaching of Jesus, I will come to your position. But if my sayings are truth, will you come to my position, the Trinity? He asked me. He replied, "Yes, of course."
okay.
Yeah, on that debate, he told me something, and it really changed my view on everything. He told me that, did you know that Moses called God? He told me, he asked me that, did you know what Moses called God in Exodus 7? I said, no, this is impossible. It can't be.
So, what did Moses call God?
Moses was called
Oh,
a
that
God.
Moses was called God. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
Elohim. He was
Yes.
Elohim. He told me
Yes.
that, and I didn't believe in him. So I was angry. He challenged my faith, and first time on my Christian life, I had no thought, I had no defense for my faith,
Oh, wow.
because my perspective, my criteria always been like that. What did Jesus teach? What did he really teach? I was always searching for that. This is my only criteria.
Okay.
So then I did some research, but before doing research, I was angry, really angry. I was thinking, what did I think? There is a teaching about humbling yourself, Jesus told.
Uh-huh.
That verse was in my mind, and I told myself, if there is a truth, if my belief is not Jesus' belief, I have to humble myself. I shouldn't be angry.
Yes.
I have to do research. I have to learn what God says. Then I learned about the principle of Ashalia. The persons and angels can be called God, and that principle, authority, all those stuffs. And my theology researches got deepened with that.
Okay. So, Shaliach What does
Yes.
shaliach mean?
I read this from Sir Anthony Buzzard's article.
Mm-hmm.
It means when someone or some angel speak for God, it is or he is called God. God put his name on that person or angel, and we can see this in all over the Bible. It is so clear. All we have to do is to look up the Hebrew Bible, the original text, and we have to compare those things with the Jesus.
Okay, so that word shaliach would be translated as agency, someone who's acting as an agent of God can
Exactly,
be
agency.
agency. Okay, so that someone who's acting as God's agent can be referred to as God without actually being God himself.
Yes, this
Okay.
really opened my eyes.
Huh.
When I learned this principle, all the things were much clear,
Okay.
much clear, very much clear.
So were you rejoicing over this? Were you happy to find this truth?
Yes, I was rejoicing with that because I was thinking this is the true teaching of Jesus. Jesus was a Jew. He had Jewish belief. So, and also when I first read the Bible, I never saw a doctrine of Trinity, and there is no explanation. So, with this fact, all came together that those things made sense to me.
Oh, yeah. So I suppose being that Christianity is under attack in Turkey for such reasons as they believe in the falsehood of there being three gods or this kind of Trinity um, concept, that when you came to terms with there being only one God, even as our Jewish our Jewish friends and brethren believe, that you actually have now a means to communicate the gospel message without that objection being in front of you.
Exactly. And also, I have to add that there are my, there are my some friends who is Muslim, uh, and there is one friend of mine. He was a Bible criteria. He was very interesting in that, all those theory about the Bible.
Uh-huh.
And when I teach him that there is no Trinity, Jesus is not God, he was Muslim and he converted into Christianity
Wow.
immediately.
Wow.
In one day, it happened
Wow. That's incredible.
because the doctrine of Trinity is uh, really a big problem, and we can call it like self-inflicted wound of Christianity.
You can say that again, please.
Self-inflicted wound
Self-inflicted
of
wound.
Christianity.
Yeah,
Yes,
Christianity's self-inflicted wound, the Trinity. Okay. So there's the possibility that many Muslims could come to faith in Jesus if we go back to the first century biblical message is huge, isn't it?
there is two conditions for that. One condition, removing the Trinity. This is the most important thing. The second condition is they have to they can they should be able to reach the Bible, because in the Muslim world, reading the Bible is sin. They see
Okay.
this as sin, big sin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it probably would be a whole lot easier to make it acceptable to read the Bible if the the oneness of God would be made clear. So
Yes.
so when you started to read your Bible, you were expecting to find in it something about a Trinity, weren't you?
No, never.
You never expected to find this?
No.
Okay. Would most Muslims be expecting to find a Trinity in the Bible?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
They
So,
thought they thought that Paul was to blame. He invented the Trinity.
oh, really?
They believe that. Yes. I
Okay.
mean, I can tell you numbers. I mean, if, at least 80% of Muslims in Turkey, they believe Paul invented Christianity. Paul invented the Trinity. He invented the modern Christianity.
Oh, wow.
Yes, that's a
But tell me,
huge thing.
what city was Paul from?
Tarsus. I I I'm telling you in Turkish, but I don't know the English name for that.
So, do you know
Tarsus.
where that city is in your country?
Yeah, it is in Mersin. We call.
It's not too far from where you live, is it?
No, but let's not uh, talk about where I live.
Okay, no. Sorry about that.
Look,
Okay.
it's okay.
So, yeah, my fault. But it happens. It just fascinates me that Turkey was really the cradle of Christianity, as far as I understand.
It was.
Yes. So the seven churches in the Book of Revelation were all in what is now today Turkey. Is that not correct?
Yeah, it is correct. It is
It
in
is
the west
correct.
side of Turkey.
Okay. Okay. So, in the cradle of Christianity, there is almost no Christianity in this present day. That's quite a pity, isn't it?
Sadly,
Sadly.
sadly.
So, what is there anything else you want to mention about coming to this Unitarian type faith?
It is hard, even specifically in community.
Okay, so what happened to your Christian community when you made the declaration that the Trinity doesn't exist in the Bible? There's only one God, and that Jesus is his human Messiah. What happened
Uh,
in your case?
Firstly, they told me that they they love me. They're in love with me. They told me that we really love you. We adore you. They said, and they tried to explain to me Trinity why it is correct, and uh, I answered them with good arguments, really strong arguments. And after one day, after a day, they called me Satan, son of the snake.
Oh,
And I
so,
asked them, why did you call me that? Because they said to me, because Satan is possessed you. He's
oh,
using you.
huh.
I have to
Okay,
mention something also. I
sure.
was I was sharing my faith online because my promise to God. I was gonna serve Him in all of my life if
Yes,
He shows me the way.
yes.
So with that, a lot of Protestants knew me in Turkey, a lot of them. And when I shared why did I become Unitarian, a lot of pastors and believers persecuted me in a really bad way, and this really made me sad at that moment
Oh, sure.
because it's a I didn't know it was a huge thing in church. I was thinking they will still love me.
Yeah, I guess your expectation would have been that if you're bringing them truth from the Bible, that they'll accept it because they're Christians.
Even if they don't accept, they wouldn't tell me bad things.
Yes.
But I was wrong.
Yeah, the harshness of the response was much greater than what you could have imagined, and it was almost a universal response. Like it was they were almost like they were speaking with one voice against your your faith.
Actually, I'm glad. Now I'm glad because Jesus told us this before in Matthew 10. Jesus saying, "I didn't come into this world to bring peace. I bring sword. They will hate you because they hate me, And in the epistles, there is a verse saying like they don't want to hear the true message. I don't know the English word for that, but the main them is like that. People, there will be time. People will not wanna hear the truth.
Well, we have known each other now for how long? 4 months, 5 months, maybe 6
Yeah,
months.
it's been a lot.
Yes. So you are coming into a greater community of Unitarian Christians. And does that give you encouragement?
It is. Yeah, I mean sometimes
Mm-hmm.
in Turkey there aren't many Unitarian Christians. There are only Trinitarian Christians. But it gives me courage because, I met you. I watch other brothers.
Yes. Well, I'm very happy that you're actually coming into a community. You were thrown out in a sense or excluded from a community, and now you're slowly finding community, although it's not always local community.
Yeah, it
So,
is hard to find a true ecclesia in this earth.
yes, yes. Okay. So, as far as your missionary, I don't know what you want to call it, your outreach work in Turkey,
Yeah,
you are producing content, trying to interest people in your own nation to read the Bible and to follow Jesus. So, how is that going for you?
uh, in Turkey, if you search for a Unitarian word in Turkish, you will find writings written by me. I mean, I didn't wrote those things. I mostly translated from other Unitarian brothers, like from professors and some um, theologians. I'm showing people that those things. Firstly, there is no Trinity.
Okay. And what kind of results have you got from your efforts?
It's positive, mostly positive. I mean, only Christians tell some negative things, but the others, the seculars and Muslims, say some positive things about
That's beautiful. I'm so glad. I'm so
my
glad for
work.
that.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
we have good communication. I don't fight with anyone. I respect everyone's faith and everyone's perspective, and I'm only telling them there is Bible, and there is some good reasons you to read this Bible. You might like it, and God will do the rest all the time. I
Okay.
believe that.
Wow, that's beautiful. All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap this interview up. You've given your testimony and shared with us some wonderful thoughts. Maybe we can do this again sometime on a more specific topic, but I think this has gone very well. Are there
Thank
any
you.
thoughts you have in closing? Something you'd like to share with my audience?
Okay. By the way, your audience are from the Western countries, right?
Well, people all over the world are watching this, so it's not necessarily. You're in Turkey, and you
Yes.
watch my content, so yeah.
Okay.
I don't know actually the full
I want
extent.
to I
Yes.
want to tell you people that uh, just focus on God. There is there is God, and we have to follow His commands. We we can find Him. You don't have to listen people. Never listen people. You really don't have to listen anyone's thought. That's all I'm gonna say because it was a really barrier for people. There is a limitation for people because people generally limit themselves by the other sayings. Don't do this mistake.
Okay. Well, Brother Burke, thank the Lord and you so much for coming on. I pray
Thank you.
God's blessing upon you and upon your ministry. May He give you courage and strength to continue in your labor to fulfill the promise that you made to God when he shed his light upon you. What a beautiful testimony.
Thank you. I hope that.
Okay. Farewell, my brother.
Farewell, brother Tom.
Okay.